Hello, hello, beautiful community. It's so nice to see you guys. Um, if anyone jumps on, this is new to me a lot of the time, so just let me know if you can hear me well enough. I really just want to share with you what it's been like for me over the last 3 days of water fasting. I've only ever done a 7 day juice fast before, and I really struggled. And that was probably about 5 years ago when I was still abusing substances regularly, drinking a lot more alcohol, was eating sugar, dairy, meat, processed foods, and gluten. And over the last year or 2 years, that's really slowed down and to a point where it's stopped. And that's actually been the thing that's changed the game forever. So for me personally, and I think for a lot of people in general, and what it's really taught me this last 3 days is how clean my body has actually become. Because the detoxing symptoms like headaches, nausea, fatigue didn't really hit me this time. But I just really am left with this realization that I can actually live with very minimal food and basic water. Like right now, I'm having my first source of food in this juice because it's changed the game for me. I'm more alert, I'm more focused. The last 3 days has been so interesting, and I was working 10-hour days twice through the 3 days and one 5 hour day at home. Now, there were some really intense moments where, particularly on the second day, I hit a stage of chronic fatigue. Like I couldn't get out of bed. If I didn't have a sip of apple cider vinegar, I was going to drop quickly. I even rang my mum to ask her to come grate some ginger into a cup for me to try and reduce some inflammation. But I managed to get through it on my own. And the first day was so surprising. I was able just to get through the whole day. I was so surprised with my energy levels. And it really highlighted for me how little water I actually drank, which I consider myself somebody who drinks quite a bit of water, but it really comes down to probably a litre and a half, maybe two a day. And so for someone my size, that's okay, but we still need to be drinking more water than that. On average, you want to be drinking 3 to 4 litres. And on the second day, after I got past my little fatigue moment, I actually managed to jump into a lot of work and spend 4 or 5 hours just super focused, working nonstop, that I forgot to drink water. And it wasn't till later on in the afternoon that I realized I had barely drinking a litre that day. So I was even so inspired and hungry that I'm here in the beautiful UK at the moment. So I knew I was spending the next 5 days away. So I cooked a bunch of food that I knew I could eat. And I obviously didn't eat it that day, but I was okay with the smells and handling the food and just putting it back and really acknowledging how much discipline I had in that moment and what I've gained over the last year of really learning to change my behaviors. And the probably the most scariest thing that happened for me was during the night. I got up to go to the toilet, and the last thing I remember was standing in the doorway, and then I woke up on the floor and I fainted because my blood glucose level had dropped so much, and I was reaching a state of a high pH, well, sorry, a low pH in terms of acidity, and also like chronic fatigue and dehydration. So I was getting quite dizzy that day as well. And that just highlighted to me how much I need to remember to drink water, especially on a water fast. um, so that was probably the number one take home lesson that I really needed to learn. And Yeah, the next day. Well, let's just talk a little bit about sleep first. During the sleep, during the night time, obviously we've eaten so much food during the day that we often tend to fall asleep after we've eaten, or need to sleep after we've eaten, because we're so tired, our body's so heavy, it doesn't need that much food. And then we need to rest. Our metabolic rate is in overdrive, that we need to rest and actually try to digest this food. So during the night, I was like wide awake, not wanting to actually sleep much and not able to really sleep much because there was so much going on in my body in terms of actual cleansing. My body's, for the first time, when we are constantly eating, we never give ourselves a chance to regenerate properly and to clean out any toxins. So it's really what I've gained from this, and I'll talk to the benefits a little bit later. But the massive gain for this is realizing that we don't need to actually eat as much as we're eating, and it's a societal imprint of this gluttony and privileged society that we're just eating all the time because we can. And it's there in the fridge, but historically, we don't even need to eat that much food. Our bodies aren't designed to be consistently digesting food. And by the third day, what I was awakened to is just this intense clarity, focus, ability to just get through the whole day with just sipping on water. And with somebody with such a fast metabolism, I was just blown away by this. It was actually a game changer for me. And then last night I had such a good sleep, and I woke up without any nausea this morning, and am just here working really early, since early this morning. And I just am having my first bit of food right now in a juice to slowly cleanse my body again, to slowly integrate foods back into my body so I don't shock my system. Because if you go from a water fast straight into food, particularly like eggs, meat, dairy, processed food, gluten, then you could actually run the risk of changing your digestive enzymes and end up with inflammatory conditions like celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome. So you want to really be careful the way that you ease into the water fast 2 days before and ease out of it 2 days after. So to touch on a few other things that are really beneficial of water fasting, it increases your insulin resistance, which is going to help reduce your risk of diabetes. It increases your immune response because it actually goes into, because our cells are beginning to empty out of toxins through just drinking water, we start to go into a state of autophagy, which is, there's a white blood cell called a macrophage, and that actually begins to eat all the toxins in our cells, in our lymph nodes, particularly our immune system, increase our antioxidants. And that's when we start to go back to a state of full homeostasis. And it's just so exciting for me as a little science physiology nerd that this is possible, and I'm surprised I haven't done it before. So there's that. And then there's also, what's also happening is we're increasing our collagen production. So we end up looking brighter, clearer, younger. Our cells are less inflamed. So this happens over time. So if you imagine when you're always consuming food, alcohol, any sort of substances, particularly sugar and dairy and meat, then our cells go into a state of inflammation all the time because we're carrying what is actually on these or inside these products or these foods. So the same goes for water. If you're not drinking high quality filtered water and you're doing a water fast with tap water, then you're going to take on the actual chemical structure of that water. So tap water is full of dirt, rust, sulfur, and any other sort of chemicals. It actually takes on the pipe. So if it's in copper, then it's going to come out with that. So we need to start to understand how important it is, because our body is 70 to 80% water. So if we're not aware of the water that we're consuming, then we're going to start to carry all of those toxic heavy metals in our system. So I'm not going to overload you with all the science, but aside from the mental clarity, the awareness that I've gotten, the ability to know how little I need, and also these physiological benefits for our body and how it keeps us younger in general and more health conscious. I highly recommend doing this at least 3 times a year, or also intermittent fasting each day throughout the week, which means you have like an 8-hour window to eat food and you just eat 2 meals within that 8-hour window. And this starts to speed up your metabolism. So it helps you lose weight over time, helps improve your exercise capacity. So I highly recommend it if you are somebody who wants to change your health or improve your health or improve your mindset or your consciousness. Then all of these things are going to make a massive difference. And thank you so much. If you are inspired, leave me a little comment below. Tell me what you've experienced on your own. It's been so nice to share this because it's something that's so powerful, and I'm looking forward to really reducing my food intake over the next few days and moving on from here. There's bikes coming right next to me, so I'm going to go. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Sending you much love.
How'd you go?